Hey guys, and welcome to or back to the Pause in Pursuit podcast with your host, Summer Clark. So today is another monthly Q&A. Don't come at me. I know it's a week late. I normally do it the first week of every month, and last week I just didn't because honestly not had any time at all. However, more guest episodes for you, so you can't complain really, can you? But I am going to do it today. So I have 15 questions from you guys. You guys asked me over on my Instagram story the other day that I'm going to answer. But before we get into that weekly update, not too much to update you guys on. All we've done is One Day Iconics on Sunday. We were meant to do it Saturday and Sunday, but it got to Friday night and I was like, I'm not going to. I'm just not going to. Just done so much lately. Obviously, we had GB training the previous Saturday. Then we had, what's it called? Vine, Sunday, Monday. And then training at Lucy's Wednesday. And I was just like, I've just done too much agility, so I'm just not going to do Saturday. So we just went for 3 runs on Sunday, and it went well. We won the 6-7 jumping. That was by Tomas Traj, and yeah, amazing course. Really loved that. He also did really well on Cedric Bargoines. I really don't know how to say that, but anyway, sorry, Cedric. His 6-7 agility, but I did choose to redo the seesaw as he self-released it. He got it, but he self-released it, and I was like, you know what, now is the time to make sure he does not do that. But the rest was clear and perfect, and yeah, I was really pleased with him. I also, on our third run, it was actually the first run of the day. Those were the second and third, but in the first run of the day on Angelica Brandel's jumping, again, really nice course, but I did learn an important lesson, and that lesson is there's no point in layering when I'm literally fast enough to get there and just go through. Like, why would I make it harder when I don't have to? Like, I tried the layering options. They just did not feel right for us as a partnership, and I've learned to not even bother if I can just get there. Like, if I can go through, no need. Like, he has layering skills in some scenarios where I can't go through, but when I can, don't chuck layers in everywhere just for the sake of it. Because I went into that and I was like, let's just practice layering and I'll layer everything. And it was just horrible. I was just like, I'm not having a good time. Ari's like, what are you doing? So yeah, there's no point in doing that. So a good lesson learned, and then 2 really, really cool runs, including a win. Like I said, perfect EO prep, running 2 of the judges' courses, because obviously Cedric and Angelica will be judging our classes at EO. So yeah, really good prep. And literally less than 10 weeks now, nearly 9 weeks, we'll be on our way to France, which is crazy. But yeah, that's the only thing I have to update you guys on this week. So without further ado, let's get straight into this month's Q&A. I will be discussing EO prep, sports psychology, chronic pole knocking, and more. So question number 1. What are your top 5 tips for someone who wants to get to the top of agility? I will let you know when I get there. Lol, joking. Had to say that. Okay, tip number 1. Find a trainer that you click with and stick with them so that they get to know you and your dog inside and out. Okay? I mean, yes, people probably do agility and do really well in agility without having a trainer, but I actually can't think of one. I can't think of one single person that is at the quote-unquote top of agility that doesn't train with anyone. Even trainers, so even agility instructors like me, generally train with other people. For example, I am an agility instructor. I also have my own agility instructor, Lucy. And I wouldn't be where I am today without her over all these years. And I've been with her for so long that she knows me and Arrow inside and out. And she just gets us, I understand her and get her as well. And it just has such a huge impact, not only the knowledge that they can give to you, but also just that supportive relationship within a very competitive and often stressful world. There's that someone who knows you and always has your back, knows how you react, respond, your weaknesses that you need to work on and you need to be told about, and the same with the dog. So that is definitely point number 1. And even if you don't have anyone nearby, make sure you're going to workshops, training days, even if you have to travel, even if it's every couple of weeks or even once a month is better than nothing. Just go to people, and you don't have to stick with that one same trainer, as in stick with them, keep going to their regular classes, but you can also, on top of that, try other trainers, go to other trainers, get a different perspective, workshops, training days, like I said. So yeah, just always be a sponge, learn from people who are more experienced and knowledgeable than you are. That is how to one day yourself get to the top. Like, you can't do it on your own. Tip number 2 is be patient and consistent with your training, even when you aren't seeing immediate results. This has been the hardest one for me. It takes a while, especially with things like running dog walks, weave, stuff like that. It's incremental. And yeah, it takes a while, but you have to be consistent. Same with training methods. For example, channel and 2x2 weave training methods. Give, like I said, if one doesn't work, fair enough, try the other, but give one at least a good amount of time. Like, don't just try something, think, oh, it's not giving me results in like a month, and then then just give up and try something else. Like, you need to give it some months. Okay, you need to just keep going and think it will come eventually, but it does take a while. For example, with Arrow, God, he must have been like 4 when he was actually running decently in the ring. If that, 4, 5, 6, yeah, about 4, I think, roughly. And he was, yeah, maybe just a tiny bit below 4. But it took so long to get him to where he is now. He's coming up 7 in October and he's peaking now. And hopefully he'll even actually get better. So hopefully this isn't even the peak. But yeah, basically, my point is it takes a long time. So be patient and expect it to take a long time. And be consistent. Keep putting in the work on a consistent basis in order to see results eventually, even if you can't see them right now or even in a few weeks or months, because this stuff takes years, okay? Tip number 3, be flexible and learn to work with the dog in front of you, okay? So there isn't one size fits all when it comes to agility training or just dog training in general, to be honest. Don't look at, say, your friend and their dog and think, oh, that works really well for them, I'll do the same thing. That's not how it works. Maybe it will. In some circumstances, maybe it will. In most, it probably won't. Same goes for if you've had a dog previous to your current dog, for example, or you're running 2 dogs. They're probably both completely different. So you're going to have to be flexible and trial and error, different things, different methods, different approaches with the dog you've got, and find what works for that dog. Find what helps that dog to learn the best and use that. And you probably won't get it straight away, but you just have to keep trying, okay? And just understand that, this dog is an individual. And yeah, just be flexible. Don't be really set in your ways. Make sure, again, it goes back to tip number 1 of be a sponge, taking all sorts of different information from different people and use that in your own way as you will to suit the dog in front of you, because they're all going to be different. So keep open-minded and be flexible. Tip number 4, learn to channel any nerves or anxiety by working ideally with a sports psychologist. You don't have to do this. You can read books, listen to podcasts, etc. But definitely learn to channel your nerves in a productive way. Okay, because nerves or anxiety and then excitement, it produces the same physical sensations, doesn't it? If you think about it, the racing heart, dry mouth, whatever, shaking, whatever. I mean, hopefully you're not shaking before an agility run, but never say never. Wouldn't judge you if you were. It's nerve-wracking stuff. But yeah, you need to learn to channel that emotion in a way that locks you in and focuses you on the task at hand and actually makes you perform well under that pressure. Okay, and I'm not a sports psychologist, but I am working with a sports psychologist. Okay, so I've only been working with her since January of this year, and it's already so good. Like, it's already worked wonders. I'm not perfect yet. I've only been January, February, March, April. I've been working with her 4 months and we've got a lot more work to do. I want to be working with her for the rest of my agility career, all being well, finances being well. But yeah, I'd say look into getting a sports psychologist, especially if you're struggling with your nerves. But even if you're not, even if you just want to reach the top, then, work on it before, prevent it instead of cure it, if that makes sense. Because mine's a lot of curing now. Like, my nerves have got to me for many years and now I'm kind of figuring it out now. But if your goal is to get to the top of the sport, I would consider working with a sports psychologist now anyway, because then you'll have those tactics, those techniques under your belt to use if and when they, you need them, or if it crops up. Because maybe it's that you haven't competed in something super high pressure yet, so you haven't experienced those nerves. So maybe when you do one day, as you strive for the top, compete in those high pressure scenarios, then these feelings will crop up and you'll be like, oh no, I don't know how to deal with them. So I would get on that ASAP. And yeah, just consider it. Just look into it, keep it in the back of your mind that it is a thing that can impact your performance, for sure. Finally, tip number 5, look after the non-agility aspects of performance. For example, fitness, rest and recovery, sleep, nutrition, etc. That goes for both you and the dog. Okay, so make sure you're working on your fitness outside of agility, e.g. strength training, interval training, stuff like that, flexibility, mobility. Also your dog, so strength and conditioning for your dog. Then obviously recovery, so recovery, rest and sleep go hand in hand, making sure you and your dog get plenty of downtime, off days, rest days, stuff like that. Also, I see a physio, an osteo, get yourself a sports massage, whatever, get any niggles in yourself sorted out. Same with the dogs. Arrow sees a physio every month to just keep on top of any tightnesses, get any niggles that may appear, because often we can't tell when they have a niggle. They hide it really well. The only way to know is to go and get them checked out. That's why Arrow has an appointment every month. And I've yapped on about this in other episodes, but often I'll go to physio every month and she'll say, yep, he's got a bit of tightness here, here and here. She'll treat it and then happy days. But if that wasn't treated, that's when it can build up and eventually become an injury, which we don't want. Okay, so recovery, huge. Sleep. Make sure you're getting your 8 hours, guys, because like I said, your brain's not going to work if you don't get sleep, especially when we're getting up at like 4 a.m. for competitions. Okay, keep sleep in check. Same with the dogs. Make sure the dogs are sleeping. So make sure that they're sleeping at home so they've got a nice area to sleep that's quiet and dark. And then also while you're at a show as well, I'd make sure that they have a quiet, dark, comfortable area in your van or whatever to rest during a competition day as well. Also recovery for us as handlers, you've got stretching, obviously, sauna, stuff like that is involved. And then nutrition, that goes without saying. Make sure you've got your dog on a nutritious diet, and then also make sure you are prioritizing whole foods in yourself. Make sure you're making as many healthy choices as you can. Not saying I'm perfect, far from it, but just again, it's something to keep in mind. I love how I've spent 10 minutes answering the first question out of 15, lol. But anyway, those are my 5 top tips for someone who wants to get to the top of agility. Next question. How do I get forward focus and a full speed takeoff on the start line? Hi from New Zealand. Hello from the UK. I am really jealous of you. Can I come and visit you? Please let me come and visit you because I'm sick of this weather. But to answer your question, forward focus is a behaviour that is taught on its own. So the ability to sit or stand or just exist in front of a jump and then on cue, so my cue is ready, look forward at the jump before the release cue that releases the dog over the jump is a skill to be taught itself. I won't go over exactly how to teach it in this episode because we'll be here all day, but that is how that needs to be taught as a behaviour. So again, you would start with the dog just looking at a reward and getting released to the reward upon looking at it. Then you'd add a jump between the dog and the reward. And again, dog would get rewarded as its head goes forward, looking over the jump at the reward. Then you can phase the reward out, and then you can add more obstacles, etc. But that forward focus is a behaviour and it is a skill that needs a cue. Okay, so like I said, mine's ready. Some people say look or focus or forward, whatever, it doesn't matter, does it really, as long as you keep consistent. But yeah, you do need to teach forward focus as a behaviour on its own. A full speed takeoff, again, that's more a drive issue. So speed and drive exercises, very helpful in this scenario. I would say for both of those things though, the most important thing to do is create a solid and predictable start line routine. So for example, walking your dog onto the start line, asking them to go in between your legs and lie down, and then wait, and you walk out, and then you say your forward focus cue, and then your release cue. That is a solid and predictable start line routine as long as you do that routine every single time. So as long as you do it every single time you step into a ring, that is the routine you do. And it doesn't have to be the one I just said. That was an example. As long as you do the same thing when you go in the ring, between you entering the ring and releasing the dog off the start line, if that's the same, and you've rehearsed it that many times that your dog knows exactly what to expect and exactly how to do it, almost with its eyes closed, then that will help with forward focus, because the dog will know that forward focus is part of this routine and they've rehearsed it over and over. And a full speed takeoff as well, because as we know, speed comes from confidence and understanding. So the more confidence your dog has in what's happening, because they predict the whole routine because it's the same every time and they understand it fully, they don't have to think about it because it's just second nature, the faster they're going to be because they're going to be more confident. And I always say that if a confident dog is a fast dog and a fast dog is a confident dog. Okay, they come hand in hand. Look at Arrow. When he was nervous, he was slow and he walked around. Now he's confident and knows what he's doing. He's super fast. Okay, next question. This is a great question. What are your plans for the summer? God, where do I begin on that one? Where do I begin? Do you want me to go through all the shows I've got coming up over the summer? Okay, what I've got booked in so far: Worcester, Nottingham, Hinckley, Thames, Point Zero, Axstane. That's all I've got booked in so far, and that takes us to the end of May. And then obviously I have EO. I'm going on the 19th of July and returning on the 27th of July. That is all I've got planned for the summer at the moment. And I can hear you saying, what about things that aren't agility? Don't make me laugh. There's nothing. There is nothing, okay? That's every single weekend full. And I'm self-employed, so I don't get... my time off is EO. So those are my plans for the summer. Not complaining. It's going to be fun. But yeah, very predictable, rinse and repeat each summer. But we like it that way. Next question. Do you think that a dog should fully learn one jump skill before moving to another? This is very dog dependent. Some dogs have the capacity to learn several behaviours on one piece of equipment at the same time and understand the difference. Other dogs, they would get them confused and it would just absolutely fry their brains. Okay, so it's knowing your dog first and foremost, for sure. I would say no. I think you can do a few jump cues together. I think you can teach a few simultaneously, but I wouldn't, for example, if your dog knows nothing, okay, I would not try and teach more than one behaviour in one session. Does that make sense? So you can do different sessions on different days, or maybe different, like lots of 5 minutes during a day if they're little, but make sure that each session focuses on one behaviour and your dog knows what they're doing in that session. Again, there's no need, especially with a young dog, I think there's no need to teach loads in one go. Like, people start with a wing wrap usually. Okay, so you teach a wing wrap and generally dogs pick that up pretty fast. Once you've got that on cue, it generally doesn't take long to teach. Then you can move on to, say, a backside or whatever. So from memory, and bearing in mind Arrow's 7 this year, I need to get my puppy foundation knowledge up to scratch for when I get another puppy, because I've almost forgotten it. But I'm sure it'll come back to me, or it better. I'm hoping it will. It has to. But yeah, basically, I forgot what I was saying now. Why does this happen to me? But yeah, from what I remember, I taught one thing at a time. However, each one thing didn't take too long. So it's not like I was teaching wing racks for a month. Do you know what I mean? Like, you picked it up pretty quickly. And also, I do think it's good to switch it up, because otherwise, if you only focus on wing wraps for ages and ages and ages, then when you come to teach a backside or a throttle wrap or something like that, dog might just assume everything's a wing wrap because that's the only thing they've ever seen on one jump. They might struggle to realise that there are other things that they can and should do on that jump, if that makes sense. Okay, so it's very dog dependent, but I think I think you can start teaching a behaviour, and once the dog has a pretty good grasp on it with a cue, you can try another one. What I'm saying is the first behaviour doesn't have to be absolutely mastered to perfection to start another one, if that makes sense, as long as there is a general understanding of it on cue first before you move on, if that makes sense. Because like I said, there's always, well, I say that, there isn't now for Arrow at 7, but for a long time with a young dog, there is something new to teach, and there's a lot to teach. So there's no need to spend a million years on one thing, because you'll never get through all the others then, will you? Just don't overwhelm your dog. Keep sessions short, be nice and clear and consistent, and you should be fine to teach several different behaviours. But I wouldn't say start 2 or 3 brand new behaviours the dog's never seen before, say in the same day or even probably the same week. Do you know what I mean? Give it a bit of time, but it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect before you do another one, if that makes sense. And then once you've done the basics of those 2 or 3, then, you know, you can only then, once they're mastered, once the dog understands it on cue to some extent, you could try doing them in the same session, for example, if that makes sense. Next question. How do you get rid of the toy after the slalom? My dog loses her focus for the slalom if I try to get rid of it. First of all, I have to say this, I love that you call it a slalom. I don't know what country you're from, but I'm always jealous when I go abroad to compete at EO or AWC and people are saying slalom instead of weave. I'm obsessed. I might teach my next puppy that the weaves are the slalom, because it rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? So I love that for you. However, how to get rid of the toy after the weaves. So this is the same as a manners minder. So say you have a dead toy or a manners minder after the weaves. I'm guessing it's a dead object and it's just there after the weaves. Your dog loses the focus for the weaves if you get rid of that dead toy at the end of the weaves. So it has to be done very gradually. I would use I'm assuming you're starting with a high value toy. I would first decrease the value of the toy. So I'd swap the high value toy out for a lower value toy until you're using a very low value toy. I would then try swapping for food, for example, a manners minder or a food ball or something like that. Then I would try 1 rep out of, say, 10 without anything at the end, but still for the majority of the reps have something there. And then ever so gradually over many, many sessions, increase the amount of reps that you do without it there. Basically, you can't take it away all in one go. You have to gradually phase it out so that the dog barely notices it's gone, okay? And that starts with keeping the toy there but lowering the value of the toy or the size of the toy. Then swapping to food, and then swapping to nothing, if that makes sense. So lower the value before you completely remove it, and then even then when you completely do remove it, only remove it for 1 rep out of the whole session, for example. Then the next session 2 reps out of the whole session, and build up like that until it's not there at all. Okay, that is my advice. Okay, the next question is, are there any sports psychology podcasts or books that you would recommend? Okay, so for podcasts, I'd like to shout myself out first and foremost. No, I'm joking, but I did record an episode with a sports psychologist quite a while back, actually. So if you go onto my podcast and type in the psychology behind competitive sport, you will find the episode. That was such a good episode with a really cool psychologist. So yeah, go listen to that if you haven't already. I also really enjoyed the Champions Journey podcast. Again, I did an episode with the guy that runs this podcast, Christopher Enderson. So go listen to my podcast episode with him as well. But he also has his own podcast, like I said, called The Champions Journey. It's very sports psychology related, and also very agility centered, because his wife does agility and he works with agility athletes. So I definitely recommend that podcast as well. And then also I enjoyed the Psych Athletes podcast. That is all about the psychology of athletes in sport, stuff like that. So podcast wise, those. And then my top 3 sports psychology books I'd recommend are The Champion's Mind by Jim Afremow, Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy, and What's Your Dream by Simon Squibb. There's more, so if you'd like even more, then please just message me and we can have an actual complete chat about it. Because honestly, there's so many books that I've read, but those are my 3 favourites. And yeah, those are my kind of 2 go-to podcasts, and then obviously mine as well, because I do chat about it on mine a lot. And I have done that episode with the sports psychologist, and then also the episode with Christopher Enderson. And then I'm also going to get my current sports psychologist, my current sports psychology coach, on to do an episode as well. So look out for that over on my Instagram. I'll be asking you guys questions for her and basically announcing who it is and all that. Hopefully within the next month or so. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But yeah, it's something I'm super interested in, is sports psychology. So love a good sports psychology book or podcast. Next question. I have a working line Cocker Spaniel and I want to know how to get started in agility training. Again, it goes back to the first question, or the first question, the first tip of the first question, which is find a good trainer that you click with. If you have a dog and you'd like to start in agility, really the only way that you can get going properly is to find a trainer. Okay, ideally an in-person trainer that you can go to regularly, even if that's every fortnightly or even monthly, just so that you have access to a full set of equipment, so your dog and you can learn all of the equipment for agility, and also so you've got someone with more experience and knowledge to guide you and tell you what you should be doing and how to do it, how to train everything, stuff like that. Also someone to keep you accountable, making sure that you're getting all your training and staying consistent, because like I've said a million times, consistency is key when it comes to agility. And yeah, that trainer will just help you stay super consistent, which is the main thing in agility. Aside from that, obviously you can do your own research. So there's loads of people on social media with loads of information about agility and agility training and stuff like that. There's agility podcasts, obviously, hint mine, and loads more, to be honest, you can find. So you can do your own research. There's even agility books, websites, loads of resources out there. Also, there's plenty of online courses. So even if you can't get to an in-person trainer at all, or if you can but you want something in between, then there's so many online courses that you can purchase and join onto, and then you can do loads of stuff at home as well. Even with minimal equipment, you can teach a lot of things like one jump skills on just one jump. I guess it's in the name, isn't it? But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff you can do at home if you buy some equipment. And the price, I know it's not cheap, but you can get cheaper versions of some equipment as long as it's obviously still safe and built well, which most of them are if you get them from a reputable agility equipment provider. But there are lots of stuff you can do at home, but I would definitely get the guidance of a professional, either in person or online, or a mixture of both. I would definitely at least go to an in-person once a month. As a minimum, I would say, if you want to get started in agility training, because it's just so hard to do it on your own when you have no experience. So I'd definitely get someone to help you, but enjoy. So next question, would you ever be interested in going to WAO? So that is happening at the moment, isn't it? World Agility Open. And I believe that is over in Holland every year in May. Yes, I would like to do it. The only thing that's been stopping me, well, the two things that have stopped me trying out previously is one, money. So obviously my goals and priorities are EO and AWC in July and September. So not only is that quite a lot of money for the year, that's 2 trips abroad, to finance for myself, but also peaking myself an arrow for 3 different important events in a year is quite a lot, I would say. I'm sure it's doable, but I just find, peaking for now and then peaking again for July and September is just a lot. I know a lot of people do it absolutely fine, and I probably will one day, but, whether that's with Arrow or another dog, just because I would like to experience it at some point. But yeah, that's what's been stopping me, just the money, because I obviously prioritise EO and AWC, and also being able to be at our peak performance 3 times in a year, I'd say is tough, especially when they're opposite ends of the year, kind of. I suppose not opposite ends of the year, but you know what I mean? Like May, June, July, August, September. Well, they're not really. They're all 2 months apart, but that's what May, June, July, August. That's 5 months, 6 months. 5 months to be peaking, essentially, instead of obviously July, August, 3. So it's 2 extra months of keeping ourselves at that high level of performance, and it's hard. So that's what's been stopping me so far, but I would like to do it at some point. The time that I would probably be more inclined to do it is when AWC is in the UK, which I believe is 2028, because it's Finland this year, Italy next year, and then UK in 2028, I'm pretty sure. So obviously money-wise, that will be absolutely doable, because still would only be 2 abroad trips that year. If I say this, if I'm going to get on, I have to prepare for as if I'm going to get on, and then what will be. Better to imagine I'll get on and not than imagine I won't get on and then get on and not have the funds or the time or whatever, if that makes sense, in my opinion. Some people probably think the opposite, but that works for me. Stops me stressing out so much. So yeah, I might try out for the 2028 WO. We will see. We'll just see, because anything could happen by then. It's 2 years away. But yes, I would like to do it. It does look fun. The venue looks cool. And yeah, only other thing is games. What the hell? Games are stressful. I tried out for WO once, just for practice for Arrow, who was young, obviously didn't get on. He wasn't ready. It was back when he was still not great. Bless him. But the games just completely freak me out. It confuses me. So I definitely need to get better at those. But it is fun, isn't it? I feel like if you know what's going on, it's fun. So I would like to try it at some point. Probably need to do some games workshops or something first, though, because, oh my God, it's confusing. Like, listening out for the buzzer, making up your own course, like, brain capacity. Brain capacity exceeded. Next question. My dog is scared of people standing around the ring. How do I fix this? So, if your dog is scared of people standing around the ring, I'm guessing they're just scared of people in general. Because I feel like that's an outside of agility issue. I think if your dog is fine with people outside of the ring and then hates them when they're in the ring, I would say that is a displacement kind of thing, as in the dog is so uncomfortable in the ring being asked to do agility in that environment that they're taking it out by reacting to what's outside of the ring, if that makes sense. In that case, remove your dog from the competition ring for a bit. Focus on confidence building exercises, relationship building, you and the dog, okay? So that your dog is only interested in you and you alone, especially where you're working as in doing agility, and make sure that's sorted in training. Then try generalising it, for example, in your garden, just you and the dog, then in training, then a small competition, maybe small fenced off competition without many people, and then gradually increase how big of a competition you expose your dog to. In that case, it's not as much of a people thing, but a displacement thing, because your dog's not confident doing agility. The moment your dog's confident doing agility and focused on you, they should stop. If that is the root cause, again, it could be anything, but if that's the root cause, that's what I do. If the root cause is your dog is people reactive, full stop, again, that's a separate issue that needs to be dealt with outside of agility. And again, I'm not a behaviourist, so a behaviourist is probably the one to go to about that issue, because that's not even agility centred. And then once that's fixed and your dog isn't people reactive, then they shouldn't be, outside of agility, then they shouldn't be reactive inside, while they're doing agility either. If it's that, it's actually not got anything to do with agility. So yeah, figure out the root cause of it and then go from there. Like I said, if it's agility centred, then improve your dog's attitude and confidence and ability in agility without them standing around in the competition setting, and then gradually get back to that point slowly. If it's behavioural and a reactivity in any aspect of life, that needs to be sorted before you put your dog in a situation of an agility ring with people stood around it, basically. Okay, next question. What does your EO prep look like during the final 2 months before the event? Okay, so with, what are we, May, June, July? We're a week out from the final 2 months. So at the moment, and for the next 2 months, I will be running the judges' courses. So every fortnight, I obviously have my own agility field. So I set up a new course from one of the EO judges and I run it. That goes without saying, because obviously the judges tend to have certain styles, certain patterns, certain skills and sequences that they like. And I've done that much stalking of the judges' courses that I know their patterns and I know what they generally like to include, and I can train that. But I also, I know you can do that without running full courses. You can just train those specific skills that you find a pattern in. But I do find that course running really helps me in Arrow. Because, like I said, this year our main goal and the thing we're working on the most is consistency over courses. So it doesn't matter if he could have all the skills, but it's stringing it together. Okay, so me and Arrow need to practice stringing it together and going clear on a full course. So running the judges' courses is a huge one. And I'm getting together loads of times with the other members of my team of 4 for EO, and we're going to train together. And that's been really helpful as well to just build that kind of team bond, as cliche as it sounds. So we know each other and each other's dogs, and can, help each other and support each other, and offer each other some advice, stuff like that. So I'm doing a lot of that course running of the judges courses with my other teammates. And then the other thing I'm doing is prioritising European style courses. So for example, IQs. In the last 2 months, I'll make sure I'm getting to all the IQs that I possibly can, bar the ones that are like 6 hours away, because I'm not crazy. No shade if you do that, but respect, to be honest. And then also making sure that in training I am running, like I said, the European style courses at my field. And then also, obviously, I train with Lucy once a week. She sets up those styles of, those sequences, and, she knows what she's doing, doesn't she? Obviously, as far as setting appropriate sequences and courses and skills at training. So just making sure I'm training the right things, because there's no point training the boxy British style courses when EO is not going to be that, if that makes sense. Obviously, I'm still doing champs single. I am doing singles, even though I've already qualified for them. I've entered them, haven't I? Obviously, I'm still doing champ shows, stakes, stuff like that, normal KC shows too. But just making sure that other things come first. So say if there was 2 on a weekend, I'd prioritise the IQ over the British show, if that makes sense. Like I said, as long as it's not a million miles away. I'm making sure to still keep competing, because I've said this so many times, but Arrow and me, to be honest, we're the best if we keep doing it. Okay, so if I give us a massive break before EO, we'll probably be a bit hairy and a bit wild when we actually get in that ring. So just making sure that we keep plugging away, keep getting exposure to those events, competitions, and also making sure, I think champ is very valuable, not for the style of courses, but practice under pressure for me, and also for Arrow as well, because he's a sensitive little flower. Very good for us to compete together under some sort of pressure, even though it's not even close to the pressure at EO, but it's something, isn't it? And with each time, we do get better at dealing with that between us. Next question. This is a funny one. How do you balance your agility goals with normal life? Achieving difficult things takes a lot of time and discipline. You don't say. True. I don't really. I'd say agility is definitely, if there was a seesaw or a weighing scales, agility would be hanging a lot lower than normal life. Agility is my normal life, to be honest. Obviously, I teach it, compete pretty much every weekend. Most of my friends are in it. So normal life, I still see friends that aren't in agility every now and again, not religiously. And I'll still go out for food with them and family and stuff like that when there's reason to do so. And if I have a day off from agility at the weekend, I will usually go shopping or go out for food or something like that with either family or non-agility friends. But generally, most of the time, I am doing something to do with agility, and I'm not mad about it. If there's something normal lifey that I want to do, I will do it, and I'll find time to do it. But I'm happy with, especially throughout the summer, pretty much most of my life is based around agility. The winter is more where normal life happens because there's less agility. So I kind of see it more like that. Like the summer is the agility, the winter is less agility, more normal life. So I suppose over the year that is that balance. But yes, when you have big goals like Team GB and Crufts and stuff like that, you do have to put a lot of time into it, and discipline as well. Yeah, you've got to prioritise what you're doing, so that you're doing the things that are going to help you achieve those goals. And it's just a decision you've got to make personally, really, isn't it? Next question. How does weight training actually benefit your performance as an agility handler? I used to wonder this, and then I started weight training. I was like, I get it now. Essentially, it's quite simple biologically. If you have, again, there's a fine line. If you want to have muscle, but you also want to stay lean, so you're not dragging too much weight around the course. If you've got strong legs, strong core, strong upper body, you're going to be more powerful around the agility course. You're going to be faster because you've got more muscle to power you. You're also going to be more, say you've got a strong core, you're going to be better at changing direction, turning. Strong leg muscles, you're going to be better at decelerating, accelerating. like I said, turning quickly and pushing off from a standstill, for example, building momentum from a standstill, which we've often got to do when you change direction. Obviously, upper body as well is important because we use our arms in running technique to make us faster and more efficient. So the stronger you are, the better an agility handler you're going to be. Obviously, there's that fine line. If you're a bodybuilder and you're absolutely massive, you're going to be heavier, so you're going to be slower. But most of us aren't going to be becoming bodybuilders, are we? So let's not even go there. But yeah, more, the stronger you are, the better you're going to be at all those things that are involved in agility. Now, obviously, you can't just do weight training. Well, you can, but it's a good idea alongside that to do some other stuff, such as sprint intervals. Okay, so there's other stuff, and mobility, flexibility. You also want to be doing those as well as weight training. But weight training does play a big role in agility performance alongside those flexibility, mobility, and obviously your ability to sprint and run. So yeah, that is basically how it helps. Next question. How do I improve my dog's ability to extend fully over jumps? Okay, so first of all, what I would say if your dog isn't extending over jumps is go to a physio, get them assessed, and then get that regular treatment in. So I recommend monthly. Some people do 6 weekly. I do monthly with Arrow. Again, because sometimes if our dogs have a little bit of tightness or a little niggle, they won't want to extend fully because they're uncomfortable doing so, and it either hurts or just doesn't feel very nice. So first of all, get anything physical ruled out and make sure you keep on top of that and your dog doesn't get the chance to get super tight or develop a niggle. And then if you go to a physio, they are likely to give you strength and conditioning exercises to do, however many times a week they recommend, which will, again, a bit like the weight training for us, make them stronger. And the benefits will be the same as when we do weight training, like I just said. Not going to go over that again. So that will also help as well, because that will help your dog's takeoff and efficiency and power. And then jump grids as well. So you can do all sorts with jump grids that just help your dog to basically maneuver its body over and around a jump efficiently, basically. So they're the main 3 things that I would do if your dog is struggling to extend fully over jumps. Then next question is similar. It's how do you fix a chronic pole knocker? Again, all of the above. So physio, strength and conditioning, jump grids, do all of that as well. That will also help with pole knocking. Also, one jump skill sessions. So basically refining your dog's ability to maneuver itself again over and around a jump efficiently, which includes keeping its feet up and not just crashing into the jump. So this builds awareness of their feet, basically, and where their bodies are around the jump. Also, doing your one jump skills such as backside slices, backside wraps, threader wraps, stuff like that. Your dog will just get used to doing that maneuver, so it becomes second nature, and they get used to keeping their feet up and, manoeuvring their bodies around that jump, around that wing. So refine the one jump skills as well. So if your dog's jump skills are really good, they're less likely to knock poles, in my opinion. And then also some dogs you can correct poles. So some dogs, if they knock a pole, you can say and stop them, pick up the pole, make them redo the jump, then reward. That works for some dogs. Just a warning, some sensitive, nervous dogs hate this and would shut down. Just, your dog, don't you? know how they would react if you stopped mid-run and corrected a pole. Like I say, don't shout at them or anything. Just be like, you did that wrong. Oops, let's try again. Put it back up, redo it. Then be like, wow, good job or whatever. You get what I mean. And that helps a lot of dogs. I've heard a lot of chronic pole knockers getting better because poles have been corrected. So they learn that, to carry on the run, I have to keep the pole up, okay? And I get rewarded for keeping the pole up, okay? But yeah, just making sure that the physical aspect is, ruled out first and foremost. Also, proprioception stuff. So again, things that make your dog more aware of where their feet are in space and their bodies are in space. For example, wobble cushions, cavalettis, or the little strength and conditioning exercise your physio gives you will also often act as proprioception. Just proprioception, making sure they know where their feet are. If they don't know where their feet are, they're going to have a very hard time lifting them up. Obviously, rear foot target's a good one as well, backing up on something, stuff like that. Okay, final question. I want to set up specific judges' courses, but I don't have much space. Is there a way around this? Okay, I would say the way around this is to basically dial down and notice the skills that they set during those courses. So yes, if you don't have a lot of space, let's be realistic, you can't set up a whole course, but you can do your research on the judges, write a list of the things that a certain judge, if you've got a specific judge in mind, what skills and what kind of things they like to include across their courses. Okay, write those down and then you set those skills up separately. For example, does the judge like to include threadle wraps? Train your threadle wraps. You can do that on one jump or two jumps. You could do jump into a threadle wrap. Weird weave entries. If a judge really likes a 90-degree open face weave entry, you can even set 6 weaves up if you have that little room and do wing to a 90-degree open weave entry. Do you get the gist? Turns off a seesaw if you can fit a seesaw in. Do seesaw, stay behind the dog while it's on the seesaw, turn around, send them around a wing behind you, stuff like that. So I think the best you can do is just do the little pattern, the little sequences and skills that judges like, train those in isolation. And then when you can, there's loads of venues that you can hire around the UK these days. Get something hired like Dog Sports Derby or Ogilvy every couple of weeks or even every month or whatever. And then, yes, you can't actually change the course there, but you can still do your course running. Okay, so you can practice your course running and balance it with all the little skilly stuff you're doing at home. Okay, so that's what I'd recommend for that. And that is all of the questions, guys. I hope that answered everything today. If you didn't get your question answered, please do just message me and I can answer it privately. If you have any more questions or anything you want to speak about in relation to my answers to today's questions, again, just message me. We can talk about those. What am I up to over the next week, you ask? I have Worcester on Saturday for stakes. I have Lily and Sam over at mine on Sunday to train at my venue over a EO Judge course. I know we've just been talking about that. And then that's it. Everything else just standard, teaching, etc., etc. So yeah, if you're at Worcester, I'll see you there. If you're not, I'll speak to you again next Wednesday at 8 p.m. But before I go, if you enjoyed today's episode, please do make sure you are following the podcast. And also please do leave the podcast a 5-star rating and review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But yeah, make sure to follow the podcast on whatever platform you use to stream podcasts, because I have more exciting guest episodes coming for you guys over the next few weeks. So you do not want to miss those. I have Laura Bussing on the podcast next Wednesday. So yeah, you don't want to miss that. So give me a follow. Also make sure you're following me on social media at Paws in Pursuit on pretty much every platform. Or Summer Clark on Facebook. I think I am. Well, I know I am. But Paws in Pursuit on most things, Instagram, TikTok, etc. That's where you can DM me any questions you may have after today, or anything like that. Also, I do offer in-person agility lessons in Lincoln. So I offer one-to-one lessons and also group classes across the week. So if you're interested in either of those, again, just send me a message on Instagram or whatever social media platform you use, and we can get you booked in so that you can smash your goals for the rest of the season. We're really in summer now, aren't we? The weather does not say so, but we really are. All the important shows at the moment, so I would love to help you guys just get in touch and we can book something in. What else do I say in this little outro of mine? Also, while we're talking about messaging me on social media, keep sending me your podcast topic requests and recommendations, whether that's solo episodes, so things you want me to talk about on my own, and also guests you would like me to have on in the future and what you would like me to talk about with those guests. You are pretty much guaranteed to get your idea turned into an episode because I'm just that good to you guys. Finally, if you need some training aids, weave guides, stride regulators, anything like that, do buy from Safe Stride Solutions because they are the best. Honestly, I cannot recommend their training aids enough. I use them for myself and Arrow and also all of my students, and I've got amazing results from them. So if you want to buy a training aid from Safe Stride Solutions, please do use my link that is in the description of this episode. That would be fantastic. And I believe that is everything I say. So like I said, yeah, Might see some of you at Worcester. If not, I'll speak to you all next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Bye, guys.